Okay, cut. Oh, this is a really bad idea. Really bad. Really bad idea.
Ah, that's better. You know, I don't appreciate having to go and exercise to be able to test products, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. I mean, how else am I going to test the performance of Phlster's Enigma? I guess maybe basketball shorts, mowing the lawn? I don't know. A little bit of exercise, though, definitely won't kill you, so might as well. So as a lot of you know, up until recently, Phlster's Enigma has been a really hard product to get a hold of. A while back I did a couple of other reviews on like the Phlster Arc switches and the floodlight, and when Phlster came out with the Enigma system, I knew that I wanted to get my hands on it and test it out. Of course, just like everybody else, I had to wait for them to be in stock. I don't have any affiliation with Phlster other than being a paying customer just like everybody else. So about a month and a half ago, I got lucky, added one to my cart, checked out, and finally got it in. First thing I'd like to say is that the Enigma is definitely not for every person in every situation. You really need to know what you're getting into with the Enigma system, otherwise you may potentially be unhappy with it. The Enigma is not a holster, but it's also not quite a belt. It's something somewhere in the middle of those two. In an industry full of products that are being reworked, rebranded, and resold by a dozen other companies every day, Phlster is actually putting in the work to innovate. Phlster's making products like the arc switches for weapon-mounted lights. They're making products like the floodlight, which gives you a one-size-fits-all holster for all of your guns. And now, with the Enigma, they've come up with a product so that you can still conceal carry during those times where you either can't wear a belt or just don't want to wear a belt. Let's start with the holster side of things. For my Enigma, I went ahead and started with a Mechanitech Talon holster. A while back I ordered 2 of those Talons. I got one for my Polymer 80 and then I went ahead and got one for my Floyd's Custom M&P. I just love these holsters and I absolutely cannot say enough good stuff about Mechanitech. In order for a holster to work with the Enigma, it has to have one of these concealment claws, because this concealment claw is the attachment point between the holster and the Enigma system. If you've got no concealment claw, it's not going to be compatible. The other thing I want to point out real quick is that there are 2 different models of the Enigma. One is light bearing, one is non-light bearing. So if you have a holster that uses a light, you will have to make sure that you order the correct Enigma, because they are not interchangeable. The way that they attach is completely different. Another thing about the Enigma is that it's designed to work with holsters that don't have adjustable retention. For your convenience, Phlster does have a fixed retention conversion kit listed on their site. I believe it's like $10. Basically, it's a set of different thickness plastic washers, so you can go ahead and take these rubber grommets out from your adjustable retention holster, replace them with the right thickness of plastic washers, and be able to cinch everything down nice and tight. When reading through the Phlster site, what they're saying is that once you get those plastic washers in there, the screws that actually hold the Enigma to your holster, you can just crank those suckers down as tight as you want to be able to get rid of wobble in the holster. That's what they say, at least. So this is my Mechanitech Talon holster for my Polymer 80, and it's a prime example of how much movement these concealment claws tend to have. So if we take a closer look at the system here, you can see that the hole that the screw goes through is considerably larger than what the screw itself is. There's nothing stopping this concealment claw from being sloppy and moving all over the place. So you've got a real hot dog down a hallway situation going on. With a system like the Enigma, where the holster mounts to the Enigma system by that concealment claw, what you end up with is a whole lot of rocking back and forth with that holster. Now, notice mine has very little in the way of movement. I also still have my adjustable retention. Now, the idea that cranking down the attachment screws between the Enigma and your holster is going to solve your issues is just plain wrong. I personally have a lot of holster making supplies here at the house. I have a vacuum press out in the garage. I have everything to be able to make all of this stuff myself. I invested quite a bit of money into learning how to make holsters, and then lost my interest and moved on to other things. Now, because I have a bunch of these types of materials here at the house, I decided to go ahead and cut a bunch of spacers just like the ones that Phlster is offering on their site for $10. When I went ahead and installed those plastic washers into where my adjustable retention grommet is supposed to go, it actually didn't change much as far as the play inside of the holster. It seemed like no matter how tight I got those attachment screws, the whole system still moved, and again, that's because the holes that are cut in everything are much larger than what the screws are. The actual answer to the problem had been right here with my Phlster floodlight all along. So this is my floodlight. When it came in the mail, it actually had one of these eyelets here drop down in the hole for the concealment claw. With that rivet or eyelet drop down into the hole for the concealment claw, it takes up a lot of that slack for the screw, and as you can see, that claw does not move. You can see here with the Enigma, the size of the holes on the Enigma are considerably larger than the screws. So in order to stabilize my Enigma, I took a couple of these Chicago screws, or barrel nuts, whatever you want to call them, and I cut the ends off of them so that what I was left with was a sleeve that could go over my existing screw. You see the diameter of the holes on this Enigma are roughly the same size as with the Chicago screw. So that took out quite a bit of slop right there. So the next thing on my list was to take a couple of these rivets, these holster rivets, and drop them down right there. Then my concealment claw goes over the top. Then my spacers. Then I can go ahead and mount the Enigma to the top. That stabilization issue is really my biggest problem with the platform itself. And had I not found a good workaround for it, this would be a whole different review. I would have tested it out. I would have given it a 1-star review. I would have chucked this thing in a box and probably never looked at it again. I'm just being honest here. And I'm being honest because I have watched probably a dozen videos of other influencers who have reviewed the Enigma who haven't brought up any of the issues with this platform. Nobody's talking about the stability issues, and I just don't get it. So I want to make sure that people understand what the issue is, what causes it, and how to easily fix it. I mean, we're talking about a belt here, a belt that's not really a belt. A belt that's not really a belt, but also costs $85. And considering that nobody else that's reviewing these things is talking about the stability issues and the next issue that I have to bring up, I wanted to make sure that somebody gets the information out there. So I'm going to leave some links below to some of the things that you'll need to be able to fix your Enigma quick and easy and probably cheap. So let's just go ahead and get my second complaint aired out while we're here. We'll get it out on the table so we can move forward to the positives. The Enigma is going to go on underneath of your clothes. It is going to be sitting right up against your skin all day as you are moving around, probably exercising, out walking around, doing your daily things. I have found that the Enigma system is covered in sharp and rough surfaces that are not real kind to the skin. Now, I don't know exactly what type of material this is made out of. It's some sort of plastic, but it's been precision cut with a laser. You can tell that. I mean, it's real precise cuts, but the backside is melted. It's jagged and rough everywhere that the laser has come through and cut each and every one of these holes. That in itself is not a huge deal to fix. In fact, I haven't fixed it yet because I wanted to record this video and get some close-up shots of that melted edge to show people what it's like. I'm going to run through with some, I don't know, 320 grit sandpaper and just clean up all those edges so that they're nice and smooth and they stop ripping into my skin as I wear this thing. You spend a day wearing this thing around and you're going to start feeling all those little spots where they're rubbing you raw, and it doesn't feel real good. The other spot that really gets me is the attachment system. It has this buckle here, And we'll just open that up. This side of the buckle, this gray material, I don't know why there's so much overhang here, but the edge of this is like, it's not super sharp, but it's really stiff. And because of the way that the buckle works, it gets shoved into your skin and just digs right into you as you're wearing it. I'm serious, an hour of wearing this thing around, and this side right here, it's too much. I've got to do some modifications there because that's just driving me nuts. I can't deal with that. Now, I have seen all manner of workarounds for these things. You know, Facebook has a group dedicated to the Enigma where people are making homemade sleeves and covers and things for them, and that's great. You know, I'm glad that people are happy with them and are customizing them to their liking. But the way that I feel is, if I'm going to spend $85 on a system like this, I would expect when it comes in to me, I can put it on, I can wear it, and I can go on about my day without having all these little edges digging into me. It's finish work that should have been done before it left the factory. So those are my only negatives towards the Enigma system. So let's move forward from there. The setup of the Enigma seems a lot more complicated than it really is. They have a set of videos on the website that will walk you through doing it. You know, there are a lot of pieces and steps involved in doing this. Just take your time. Don't rush through it. I probably made 4 or 5 adjustments to the way that it was put together before I finally landed on a configuration that worked well for my particular body type. Which is one of the things that I do like about the Enigma. I like the fact that you can wear it no matter what your body type is. You can make so many adjustments to the way that it rides so that it works for you. This is not the kind of holster setup that you're just going to pick up from the mailbox, open the package, throw it in your pants, put your gun in it, and just go. You are going to have to put a little bit of commitment into customizing it and personalizing it to your body. This magnetic belt buckle, I was a little apprehensive about this at first, but I'm actually really surprised at how well it holds. It doesn't come loose. I don't have any worries about, you know, being out hiking or running, or, you know, being at the gym and having an issue where it's going to come undone and, you know, my holster and my gun are just going to drop down my pants to the ground. Aside from the chafing issue with that buckle, which I'll be addressing shortly, I'm confident in it. I think it works really well. Another thing that I was a little bit worried about was how well is the holster going to stay seated when I draw, because after all, it is essentially just a belt that is going around your waist and then a leg leash that is stopping the Enigma from coming up when you go ahead and draw. That was one of the things where I felt if there was going to be an area that it was not going to work out well, that was going to be it. After a little bit of time and making the adjustments to the system to where it fit my body the way that I wanted it to fit, I find that it feels just like it would if I were wearing a pair of jeans with my Blue Alpha Gear belt and, you know, my other Talon holster. I can be wearing sweatpants or basketball shorts, and it doesn't feel any different when I go ahead and draw my gun than it would if I was wearing my everyday clothes. That is a huge deal because I don't have to worry about what I'm wearing when I leave the house. If it is a hot day and I don't want to wear pants, I just want to go something super casual, I can throw on a pair of shorts and still conceal carry. If I'm just being an absolute lazy bum, if I want to be you know, people of Walmart and leave the house in Crocs and sweatpants, I can do that and still carry my gun. I can be confident in the fact that when I need it, it is going to be there, and I'm going to be able to access it just the same as I would any other clothing or concealment setup that I'm using. Ladies, I know that a very small percentage of my videos are watched by you. Believe me, I appreciate each and every one of you that watches my channel. So this product is for you. One of the big concerns that my female friends have as far as how they're going to conceal carry is going to be what they're wearing. Whether you're wearing leggings or a skirt or whatever, you can go ahead and wear those with the Enigma and still carry your gun wherever you go. I've personally never been a fan of the belly bands. I don't like holster systems where my trigger guard doesn't have something solid to protect the trigger from accidentally being pulled. Now, I'm not saying that the belly bands aren't safe, they just make me nervous, and I feel like having a system like the Enigma where you can still use a Kydex holster to be able to carry your gun seems to me to be just a little safer than having a stretchy band with your pistol tucked down into it. Unfortunately, this channel is just me. I don't have a female assistant to go ahead and wear the Enigma and jump around in some yoga pants and test it out. But I feel like it's going to be a game changer for concealment carry for the ladies. I would say if you're looking for something that's going to be really versatile, try out the Enigma. I've worn it with basketball shorts. I have worn it with sweatpants, running pants. I've worn it while out walking the dog, hiking around the neighborhood. I have taken it to the gym. I don't really see that much of a need to wear it in the gym, but I have just for testing purposes. The Enigma straight up has been one of the most consistent as far as its performance goes in the testing that I've done with it. Of course, this is after I got through that initial period of making the adjustments so that it fit me well. The question is this system worth it? I mean, we aren't just talking about $85 for the Enigma. You're also going to need a holster. My Talon from Makinetech, that was another 65 bucks. So we're talking about $150 for holster and Enigma system. And it's not the easiest thing to put together. So you don't really want to be taking that holster and mounting it to the Enigma and then taking it off to wear it as just the holster. You're going to want a holster that's dedicated to the Enigma. So 150 bucks to get the Enigma, set up for your daily use. Whether or not that's worth it is going to depend on your personal situation. Are you somebody who is really active, who doesn't always have the luxury of being able to wear a standard gun belt? Do you live somewhere where it is warm enough that you could potentially be wearing shorts leaving the house more than, 2 months out of the year like it is here in Washington? Are you having an issue trying to find the perfect concealed carry configuration for tighter clothing that doesn't allow for belts? Are you somebody that is active enough that you're going to use this thing on a regular basis? Do you often wear clothing where you can't get a traditional holster to mount to it very well? Have you tried other concealment systems and just not found something that works well for you? Well, perhaps it's time for you to try the Enigma. If you're apprehensive about it, I would say don't be. Just like every other product that Phlster makes, the Enigma is one that I would definitely recommend. I may have a couple of small complaints with the Enigma, but I think they're things that are easily worked around so that it can be used to its maximum potential. I know at this point, I wear the Enigma at least twice a week. That's basically my weekend holster from when I'm being a bum and I want to leave the house without having to actually get dressed. It's quick, it's convenient, and it's comfortable. Most of all, I trust it. All right, that's going to be enough for today. Hopefully somebody got something out of this video. If you own an Enigma, go ahead and leave a comment below and let me know what you think of it.